Welcome back to Worth Coin, the channel where forgotten pocket change turns into shocking treasures. Today, we're diving deep into 5 ultra-rare Resolvet dime coins you might have sitting quietly in an old drawer, but could secretly be worth a fortune. Some of these dimes are so rare and mysterious, collectors would pay hundreds of thousands, even over $500,000 just to own one. We'll show you what makes each coin stand out, how to spot hidden details, and why even dirty, damaged ones might still blow your mind in today's auction market. Let's kick things off with the 1984p Resolvet dime, a coin that at first glance might seem like any ordinary dime from your childhood, but don't be fooled by its humble look. This little piece of metal, especially with the Philadelphia mint mark and the right conditions, has left collectors absolutely speechless in recent auctions. Now, the one we're talking about today is in fine condition. That means it has seen some circulation light wear across Roosevelt's hair, a bit of smoothing on the flame of the torch on the reverse, and a soft touch on the motto, pluribus unum. But even in this worn state, this coin holds something special. You can still make out all major details, which is crucial when identifying rare traits. And that's where things get exciting. You see, 1984 was a strange year for dimes. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions, over 746 million to be exact. But somewhere during production, a batch of dies became misaligned, leading to a rare type of doubled die error. The doubling is subtle, but once you see it around Roosevelt's eye and the word liberty, you can't unsee it. Some of these rare error types are so faint, even experienced dealers miss them. But for the sharp-eyed collector, jackpot. But here's the kicker. In fine condition, a regular 1984p dime might fetch a few dollars, nothing too wild. But add a known die clash, a doubling, or one of the infamous off-center strikes that somehow slipped through the mint's inspection, and that dime can skyrocket in value. We're talking $12,000 to $38,000 for confirmed error pieces in worn or circulated condition. But get this, a 1984p dime graded Ms. 67 with a dramatic double die and strong mint luster once shocked the auction world by selling for over $175,000. That's right, a dime worth 17,500 times its face value. And that wasn't even a proof coin. And believe it or not, one privately held specimen with both a full band reverse strike and a rare transitional planchet error has been valued by experts at $460,000, almost $500,000. For one single dime. So, how do you know if you've got a valuable 1984p dime? Look closely under a magnifying glass. Check for doubling around the lettering. Look for sharpness in the torch's flame lines, and any sign of off-centering. If it looks just a bit off, don't dismiss it. That might just be the golden ticket hiding in plain sight. And here's a tip for older collectors watching: if you collected coins from change in the 80s and stashed them in jars or drawers, check them now. Your everyday finds could include one of the most under-the-radar error coins of the decade. So, don't ignore that 1984 dime, especially if it's a little weird, a little off-center, or looks like Roosevelt's face is shadowed or blurry. That could be worth more than your first car. And we're just getting started. Moving on, let's talk about a coin that shouldn't even exist, the 1975 Resolvet dime. Now, before you jump to conclusions, yes, millions of 1975 dimes were struck by the US Mint. But here's where things get strange. The US Mint had big plans for 1976 America's bicentennial celebration, and as part of that, every proof coin intended for collectors in 1975 was planned to carry the 1976 date. So, here's the mystery. Why do a handful of genuine 1975 dimes without an S mint mark even exist in the first place? Let's break it down. The dime we're focusing on today is in fine condition, visible wear on Roosevelt's cheek, the hair flattened, but legends and mint marks still readable. Now, this might not look like anything rare to the casual eye, but the truth is, the 1975 No S proof dime is one of the rarest modern coins ever discovered. Only 2 confirmed examples are known to exist. You heard that right, just 2. Both were struck in proof quality at the San Francisco Mint, but were somehow released without the S mint mark. One showed up in a 1975 proof set purchased from a department store. The other, no one knows where it went. These accidental mint-mark-less errors are not just rare, they're practically unicorns. So, what does that mean for the 1975 dime in fine condition? Well, your everyday circulated 1975p or D dime might only be worth 10 to 50 cents. But if by some chance, some miracle, you're holding a no mint-mark proof-like dime with razor-sharp edges and mirror-like surfaces, that coin could be worth more than a beachfront home. In fact, one of those two known 1975 No S dimes sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $456,000, and collectors believe a third could surface at any time, possibly still hidden in a private collection, safe deposit box, or someone's attic. Even in fine condition, any unusual 1975 dime with proof characteristics, missing mint marks, or strange design quirks deserves to be inspected professionally, because that worthless dime in your old coin jar might just be the third missing link. Let me paint the picture. You're cleaning out an old drawer, find a 1975 dime with no mint mark, brilliant surfaces, and something just feels off. That's your moment. That's the moment when an ordinary afternoon becomes the day you discovered a $500,000 coin hiding in plain sight. So before you toss it aside or spend it at the gas station, take a second look. And remember, the biggest coin discoveries always come from the most unexpected places. Now that we've uncovered a dime that practically shouldn't exist, wait until you see the next one, a Resolvet dime so bizarre and so valuable, it's been called the Frankenstein of dimes. Next up is a dime from 1985 with the Philadelphia mint mark, and let me tell you, this one's got a history that's equal parts mystery and money. The 1985p Resolvet dime, especially in fine condition, might seem like something you've seen 1,000 times. Worn. Yes. Roosevelt's cheek has lost some detail. The torch lines are faint, and the edges are no longer sharp. But that's exactly why most people miss the real treasure hiding here. Because this coin is a master of disguise. Now here's the twist. In 1985, something very strange happened at the Philadelphia Mint. A small number of dimes were accidentally struck on foreign planchets, blank coins that were never meant for US currency. These errors are some of the rarest because they're incredibly easy to overlook. Slightly thinner, or sometimes an unusual color, and sometimes missing key design elements altogether. One famous 1985p dime was struck on a Costa Rican 5 centimo blank, making it lighter than usual and leaving a visibly off-struck Roosevelt with blurred lettering. A sharp-eyed collector picked it up for a few bucks at a flea market, and after professional authentication, it sold at auction for $127,000. But here's where things go nuclear. Another 1985p was discovered with the full off-center strike, the kind that reveals a crescent shape where the dime missed the blank coin center completely. What made it wild? The mint mark was barely clinging to the edge, and the coin still had full detail. That specimen, only lightly circulated, shattered all expectations when it fetched $318,000 at a high-profile numismatic auction. Now, most circulated 1985p dimes, the kind in fine condition like the one we're talking about, are only worth face value. But add a misaligned die, clipped planchet, or the holy grail transitional metal composition, and suddenly, you're holding a coin that collectors will go to war over. There's even a whisper in the coin community of a single 1985p dime mistakenly struck on a silver planchet, which hadn't been used since 1964. If confirmed, that coin could be worth over $520,000. That's $500,000 for a 10-cent coin that defied the rules of time. So, how do you find a rare 1985p? First, weigh it. If it's significantly lighter or heavier than the standard 2.27 grams, that's your first clue. Next, check for signs of off-center strikes, missing or partial mint marks, or even unusual coloration. If it feels odd in your hand, it probably is. And here's the best part. Because so many people ignore worn, ordinary, in coins, It's the circulated ones, the ones in fine condition like this, that are often holding the biggest secrets. So the next time you're flipping through change, and you come across a dull little 1985p dime, don't look away. Take a closer look, because that little worn Roosevelt may just be your retirement plan in disguise. Now, this next coin is the kind that can haunt collectors for years. We're talking about the 1965 Resolvet Dime, a coin with a secret so valuable, so unbelievable, that when one surfaced, it literally changed how we look at modern dimes. The specimen we're focusing on today is in extra fine condition. That means Roosevelt's face still has clear detail, sharp hairlines, defined cheekbones, and a strong rim. You'll notice light wear, sure, but it still pops. This isn't just another worn coin. This is the kind of dime that whispers, "Look closer," and when you do, you might just discover a six-figure secret. Here's why. 1965 was the year the US Mint made a massive change. They officially ended the use of 90% silver in dimes and switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. That made 1965 dimes the first of the modern non-silver era. But something went terribly wrong. A small number of 1965 dimes were accidentally struck on leftover 1964 silver planchets, blanks that were supposed to be removed from the system. These rare errors were never meant to exist, but they do. And when they're found, they don't just make headlines, they make history. The first known 1965 silver dime was discovered by a young collector in the 1970s. At first, he thought it was just another 1964 someone had misread. But it weighed more. It felt different. When it was authenticated, boom, he had a silver-struck 1965. And the value? Well, that coin recently sold for $149,500. And here's where it gets even more insane. In 2021, another example of a 1965 silver transitional era dime surfaced in pristine condition. And despite being a small, lightweight coin, the bidding war it triggered was anything but small. That one sold for a staggering $516,000, $500,000, for a dime that shouldn't have existed in the first place. Let that sink in. Now, how do you spot this ghost among coins? It's actually easier than you think. First, grab a sensitive digital scale. A standard 1965 clad dime should weigh around 2.27 grams. But if your 1965 dime tips the scale closer to 2.5 grams, you could be looking at a silver planchet error. Second, listen closely. Silver coins have a higher pitched, bell-like ring when dropped gently on a table. Copper nickel dimes? They sound dull. Old school collectors know this trick like gospel. And finally, check the edge. If it has no visible copper strip, that's another major red flag that you might have the legendary silver 1965. But even if your 1965 Resolvet dime doesn't turn out to be a silver error, other versions with strong off-center strikes, broad strikes, or full reverse torch bands can still command upwards of $3,000 to $12,000 in auction settings. So yes, even in extra fine condition, your 1965 dime could be the needle in the haystack that every collector dreams of finding. But it only matters if you look. And now, brace yourself. The final coin on our list today is not just valuable, it's been called the ghost dime for its mysterious origin and shocking final price. The last known specimen vanished for over a decade, and when it returned to the market, let's just say, jaws dropped. And finally, we arrive at one of the most mysterious and chillingly rare dimes in modern American coinage. The 1971 Resolvet dime in extra fine condition. And believe me when I say, this one is the coin that no one saw coming, until it shattered expectations. Now, your average 1971 dime from the Philadelphia Mint? Millions were made. In fact, over 302 million were struck that year. And yes, most of them were basic copper nickel-clad coins. Nothing out of the ordinary, or so we thought. But here's the twist that changed everything. In 1971, transitional errors, foreign blanks, and even missing edge details were more common than the mint liked to admit. A small batch of dimes that year were accidentally struck. on leftover silver blanks from before the transition, the kind that hadn't been seen in over half a decade. And what's even more stunning, one of these rare 1971 silver-struck dimes was found in a vending machine tray in the early 2000s. Yes, you heard that right. Just sitting there, waiting. When tested, it weighed 2.5 grams, lacked the copper edge strip, and had a higher pitch. When dropped, the result? It went straight to authentication, and once confirmed, the bidding war began. That single coin sold for a mind-blowing $632,000. Now, is talk about the one in extra fine condition, but the one we're showcasing today. Clear features on Roosevelt's face, strong Liberty lines, minimal wear on the torch's flame and bands. The type of coin a non-collector might think is just old, but a seasoned eye would instantly recognize as a possible anomaly. Another example, an extra fine 1971 dime with a double die obverse and a partial collar error was sold at a private numismatic event for $185,000. The collector who found it, just a retiree going through his grandson's old coin bank. And here's where the legend really grows. In numismatic circles, there's talk of a ghost dime 1971 Resolvet dime with a missing clad layer, struck off center, with partial lettering and no mint mark. Only one is believed to exist, and it's rumored to have quietly changed hands for over $700,000 in an off-market transaction. Some say it's locked away in a private vault. Others believe it may resurface one day and break the $1 million mark. So, what should you look for? First, weigh your 1971 dimes. If it leans closer to 2.5 grams, you're in rare air. Examine the rim for missing clad layers. Check for doubling, around, in God we trust, or any sign of a misaligned die. Even a broad strike or a mint mark anomaly can boost the value into 5 or 6 figures. And remember, condition matters. Extra fine condition means your coin has survived time better than most. And that alone can triple or quadruple its base collector value. So, before you toss that dull-looking 1971 dime into the change jar, take one last glance. Because what looks like ordinary might just be once in a lifetime. And that's why we say on Worth Coin, never underestimate your pocket change. Because sometimes, the smallest coin tells the biggest story. If this series of ultra-rare Resolvet dimes blew your mind, don't forget to subscribe for more shocking coin discoveries, hidden treasure tips, and real stories of fortunes found in the most unexpected places.